In this video, I'll be breaking down Aalto's kit, playstyle, core mechanic, optimal rotation, best echo builds, and his best sequences. The goal of this video is to explain Aalto's kit as clearly as possible so that you could start playing him like a pro. I will be providing some beginner tips as well as advanced technique for Aalto's playstyle in the simplest way possible. So by the end of the video, hopefully you will understand how he works and how to play him optimally. This will be a very detailed guide on everything Aalto, so make sure to relax, sit back, grab a snack, and folks, it might be a long one. I've been really loving Aalto's playstyle ever since the game got released, and now I main him. So I want to make sure to be spreading that Aalto indoctrination and share how incredibly fun this character is. In my humble and most biased opinion, he's got the most fun and engaging kit to play out of any character. So if you enjoyed this video or find this video helpful, please consider subscribing and like the video so YouTube could know that it's a good video. It would massively help out my channel, and thanks in advance. Anyway, I don't want to yap for like a million years, so here's everything you need to know about Aalto. Aalto is a 4-star arrow pistol unit that specializes in movement, range, and taunting enemies with his resonance skill. When it comes to Aalto, the best way to play him is to take advantage of his absurd movement and range. Starting with Aalto's basic attack. Aalto's basic attack, Half Truth, fires up to 5 consecutive shots, dealing arrow damage. On his 4th basic attack, Aalto would generate a mist forward, which lasts for 1.5 seconds. His 5th basic attack is his strongest basic attack, so generally speaking, I would avoid canceling his normal attack string and make sure to land that 5th basic attack. Now you might be wondering, what is a mist? And how is this relevant to his playstyle? Stay with me, I will explain that in the next portion of the video. When Aalto does a perfect dodge, he will trigger a dodge counter, which means that when Aalto dodges perfectly, his next basic attack gains a significant damage bonus. For his heavy attack, Aalto enters an aiming state for a more powerful shot. His heavy attack is not really critical to his main kit unless you want to trigger his sequence 6, which we will talk more about that later in the sequence portion of the video. Aalto's resonance skill, Shift Trick, does a couple things. First, it will dash Aalto backwards. Second, it will cast a mist. And lastly, it will create a mist avatar that will inherit a portion of Aalto's HP, which it will taunt the enemy. Additionally, the mist avatar will also generate 6 mist bullets dealing arrow damage. The mist avatar lasts for 8 seconds if the enemy did not destroy it before that. A lot of the times, taunts in video games are kinda dank, to be honest, but I'm happy to say that Aalto's taunt, in my opinion, works really well, and it also works on bosses. Aalto's Resonance Liberation, Flower in the Mist, generate a Gate of Quandary in front and deals arrow damage. The bullet that passes through the Gate of Quandary will receive an attack buff of 10%, lasting for 10 seconds. This ultimate has a pretty high cost of 150 energy, which we will go over in the build section of this video. Moving on to Aalto's Concerto skills. Aalto's intro skill, Feint Shot, basically allows him to show up out of thin air and perform a rapid continuous shooting, dealing arrow damage. To be honest, his intro skill deals damage and it's pretty whatever, in my opinion. The damage of his intro skill makes up less than 10% of his overall damage. Not a huge part of his kit, but damage is damage, so there's that. Aalto's outro skill, Dissolving Mist. When Aalto swaps out, he triggers his outro skill. He gives the next resonator a 23% arrow damage deepen for 14 seconds or until the character is switched. I think his outro skill is very good, but I don't think we're at a point of the game where this outro skill is fully explored. As of the day I'm making this video, there's only really like 2 characters that could take advantage of this part of his kit, which is Jin Yan and Jiang Xing. Not sure how I feel about this outro skill at the moment. Kinda just gotta wait and see with this one. Moving on, let's talk about Aalto's core mechanic, Mist. There are 3 ways for Aalto to generate a mist. The first way that he'll generate a mist is through his 4th basic attack. His 4th basic attack will create a mist in front of him, which will last for 1.5 seconds. The second way for Aalto to generate a mist is when he uses his resonance skill. And the third way for Aalto to generate a mist is when he triggers a perfect dodge. When you basic attack or mid-air attack into your mist, you will gain a mist drop, which you can hold up to 6 mist drops at a time. Each time he basic attack and it hits an enemy, he will gain 1 mist drops. However, on his 5th basic attack, he will gain 2 mist drops. In order for you to use your mist drop, you will need to dash into your mist or the Gate of Quandary, and you will enter a state known as the Mist Cloak Dash, which your mist drops will be converted into 6 bullets that will attack the nearby enemy. Do keep in mind though that it is very easy to accidentally cancel your special dash, which results in only releasing 2 mist drops instead of 6. So I would recommend to keep dashing for a little bit to avoid accidentally early canceling your mist drops for maximum damage. An exploration tip I would like to share is that because of this special dash state, Aalto is able to move incredibly fast across the map. So if you have his sequence 1 and the Infernal Echo, you can move super fast across the map.
是这边，再快一点，藏起来避避风头。
Now that we finished talking about his basic mechanic, let's talk about his skill priority. I would really recommend leveling his basic and his forte circlet first, as most of his damage come from those two. Then I would recommend going for his resonance skill, then liberation. His intro skill is really whatever, to be honest, but if you're an Aalto main, just level all of them to show your true love. Now let's talk about Aalto's optimal rotation and playstyle. When it comes to playing Aalto optimally, you want to make sure to take advantage of his absurd movement and range that his kits provide. Thus, I would highly recommend a hit and run playstyle. A huge bonus is that his hit and run playstyle is really fun. As I went over earlier, after you collect your mist drops by spamming either a basic or mid-air attack into the mist, you want to dash into the mist and enter his special dash state. Then you want to put some distance between yourself and the enemy so that it will be really easy for you to hit the enemy, but it will be hard for them to hit you. If the enemy come close, you could just enter into the mist again and dash away. To be honest, even if you're a button spammer like me, it's pretty easy to hit his ideal rotation. The main combo you want to make sure to hit every time you switch into Aalto is his skill, basic attack 5 times, then dash, and repeat until you're ready to swap. Hey guys, post-filming Angie here. I just want to come on really quickly because I recently stumbled across this really good technique. And this is going to be for the more advanced or skilled Aalto players out there. So basically, you want to cast your E, then you want to mid-air attack. When you're still in mid-air, you want to dash in to your mist. And after you dash into your mist, the second time when you start basic attacking, you're actually going to start from the 3rd basic attack without doing your 1st or 2nd basic attack. So when you start on your 3rd basic attack, your 4th basic attack will generate the mist, and the 5th basic attack is the one you want to land. I'll show you what I mean. I've been recently playing around with this technique. So I will play that footage back in slow-mo. You see how I cast my E, then I shot my bullets through the mist using mid-air attack. And before I landed onto the ground, I dashed into the mist and basic attack very quickly. And my 1st basic attack was actually my 3rd basic attack string. And I hit my 4th right away so that I could land my 5th basic attack. I did find this technique through Drag Gaming CH. I will link that video in the description down below. I have been watching their videos recently, especially on their Aalto videos, and I've been learning so much from this channel, so it'll be really great if you could go check out the video. They could probably explain it a lot better than I can. And yeah, do me a favor, like their video as well, because I really did learn a lot from that channel. Anyway, that's kind of what I want to add in. Back to the usual program. If you really care about optimal damage and you're a more skilled player, then you want to make sure to weave in some of his mid-air attack, since his mid-air attack does generate misdrop, and his mid-air attack has the highest scaling out of all pistol units we have right now. If you have his sequence 3, this is a very big damage boost to his kit. To be honest, his mid-air attack is something I'm still experimenting with, and it takes quite a bit of practice to get used to. It's still something I really want to mention for any Aalto mains out there, and if you have any tips and tricks, please leave them in the comments below. I would really appreciate it. Overall, I think that there are still parts of his kits that isn't fully explored. I'll come back and make an update once we as a community has fully understand his kit. So maybe there's a future video on that, who knows. Now let's talk about the weapons. Aalto's best in slot is Static Mist. This is a 5-star weapon that you can select for free once you hit Onion level 45. This weapon not only provides crit rate stats for Aalto, thus making it easier to build him, but the passive of this weapon also gives the switch in resonator a 10% attack buff whenever your outro skill is triggered, which synergizes really well with Aalto's hybrid playstyle if you choose to play him with another arrow DPS. Additionally, it will also give him a 12% energy regen, which Aalto really needs due to his high ultimate cost of 150. Overall, this weapon is just really good and probably is the second best standard weapon available. You are so based for giving Static Mist to Aalto if you have this. If you don't have Static Mist, his second best weapon is Nova Burst. This weapon is very good for Aalto as well. The caveat for this weapon is that you can only get maximum value out of this weapon if you're a pretty skilled player that could dodge 3 times in a rotation. Since Aalto's kit do reward players that can dodge well, I do think that this is a really great weapon if you don't have Static Mist. If you don't have any of those, or you're an early game player, the 3-star option I would recommend is Pistol of Night. This is an early accessible option if that is all you have. It is still a decent option as it will give you 16% attack buff once intro skill is triggered. However, being a 3-star weapon, it does have its drawbacks like low base stats, and the passive of this weapon only lasts for 10 seconds, meaning if you're playing an on-field Aalto, it is something to watch out for. And here are some more decent options I will recommend for Aalto. Now let's talk about echoes and builds. The exciting part of this video. Don't we just love rolling echoes in this game? I do think having better substats on your echo is better than being on set and having trash echoes. While getting a full set is nice to have and it should be the goal to aim for, but it is always better to invest more into better substats. With that being said though, here are the sets I recommend for Aalto. His best in slot will be the Moonlight Cloud set, and I would recommend aiming for this set. The 2-piece Sonata effect will give Aalto an extra 10% of energy regen, and the 5-piece effect will give the next resonator a 22.5% attack boost for 15 seconds when the outro skill is triggered, which synergize quite nicely with Aalto's outro skill. The best main echo will be the Impermanence Heron, you know, the bird. The bird will give you 10 resonance energy, and it will also generate a nice amount of concerto energy as well. On top of that, it will also give the next resonator a damage boost of 12% for 15 seconds if outro skill is triggered, which once again is quite nice with Aalto's outro skill. If you're running Aalto on the energy regen set, I would recommend a 4-3-3-1-1 setup. So for your 4-cost echoes, you could go with either crit rate or crit damage, just depending on the build. For your 3-cost echoes, you could either go double arrow damage bonus, or you could run 1 elemental damage bonus and 1 ER. And for your 1-cost echo, just go double attack. If you're running the Moonlight energy set, the bird as your main echo, and if you have at least 40% worth of regen substat rolls, I would not recommend running a regen 3-cost echo. Instead, just go with a double arrow damage bonus for optimal build. You will have enough regen due to the bird echo and the regen 2-piece Sonata effect. His second best in slot will be the Sierra Gale set. The wind set 2-piece Sonata effect will give you a 10% arrow damage increase, and the 5-piece will give you an additional 30% arrow damage for 15 seconds seconds as long as you trigger the intro skill. In this setup, you're gonna run the big monkey as your main echo. The monkey will give you some damage and it will give your Aalto a 12% arrow damage increase and a 12% heavy attack damage increase for 15 seconds. It's pretty good, but the heavy attack bonus is kind of wasted though. I would still recommend running a 4-3-3-1-1 setup. The 4-cost echoes should still be the same, crit rate, crit damage. The 3-cost echoes, I would recommend running 1 ER and 1 arrow damage bonus, and the 1-cost echo just run double attack. In this setup, I would more so recommend using 1 3-cost ER echo over a double arrow if you don't have god tier ER rolls. You will need at least 50 to 60% ER substat in order to run a double arrow 3-cost, which means you need to roll on average at least 10% ER on all of your echoes to do that, unless you use static mist. In this setup, you're trading your Sonata effect for more arrow damage bonus, which means that you'll need to make up the ER requirements in other ways. You can also run a 2-piece, 1 off-piece if you just have way better substats. You will want to prioritize his ER stat until you have at least 150% ER or more so you can activate your ultimate at the start of every rotation. The gate that you generate from his ult is pretty important to his kit, so make sure to invest in those ER stats. Then you could invest the rest into either crit or attack. Now that we just finished talking about how to build him, let's talk about his sequences and how good they are. Aalto's first sequence, Trickster Opening Show, decreases the cooldown of his resonance skill by 4 seconds. This sequence gains quite a bit of value if you're playing him as your on-field DPS or solo. If you're an Aalto main and you play him on-field, or you're like me and you play him solo most of the time, I would really recommend this sequence because it makes Aalto a lot more smoother to play and it gives him faster rotations. Personally, I really like this sequence because the 4-second comes in clutch for an on-field Aalto, and overall, it's a really nice quality of life sequence to have, and I do like this sequence a lot. Let's talk about his second sequence. His second sequence, Miss Weaver's debut, give his Miss Avatar, the taunt, 100% more HP, and when Aalto attacks the target taunted, his attack will increase by 15%. The value of this sequence is very situational in my opinion. This sequence provides the most value in a single target scenario like bosses or hologram, but it drops significantly if you're trying to take out mobs. Especially the auto target in this game is kind of dank right now, and it puts ranged characters at a disadvantage, but his missed avatar gets more HP, so in that aspect is pretty nice. Overall, this is a very mid sequence and it's not my favorite. His third sequence, Hazy Transition, is when it gets good. When Aalto's basic attack or mid-air attack passes through the Gate of Quandary, 2 more bullets will be generated, dealing 50% damage of basic attack or mid-air attack. This is a very good sequence for Aalto to have because it increases Aalto's damage output by quite a bit. Overall, I think this is a really good stopping point for Aalto as it is his best sequence. I would highly recommend getting his S3 if you're considering building him into a main DPS. His sequence 4, Blake Bloom for a finale. The bullets from his resonance skill increase by 30%, and the damage received from Aalto when he is in his Miss Stealth state is reduced by 30%. I think this sequence is decent. It's not necessary. It increases Aalto's damage by a little bit, and it also increases Aalto's survivability. It's not a bad sequence, but I wouldn't say it's that great either. His 5th sequence, Applause of the Lost, when Aalto is in his special dash state, Aalto's arrow damage bonus is increased by 25% for 6 seconds. This is also a pretty good sequence. Can't really say no to arrow damage bonus. It's a decent boost to Aalto's overall damage, so I would say it's pretty good. And his last sequence, Broker's Secret, his Resonance Liberation, Flower in the Mist, now additionally increase crit rate by 8%. When Aalto's heavy attack passes through the Gate of Quandary, the damage dealt is additionally increased by 50%. I think this sequence is decent, but it's not amazing. Yes, Resonance Liberation will give an extra 8% of crit, which is really good, but the second portion of his sequence is completely wasted in my opinion. Aalto's playstyle almost never consists of heavy attack, so it's not an amazing S6, and I think it's pretty mid, but if you truly love him and you don't care if it's a mid sequence, you will get this. I know you. Now that we finished talking about the sequences, let's move on to the showcase.
这次是金蝉脱壳。停。 我的魔术吗？打不着我。是这个。喜欢我的魔术吗？打不着我。完美交易。藏起来避避风头。无力可化，打不着我。再快一点，打不着我。再快一点，这次是金蝉脱壳。
So what do I think about Aalto? While he might not be the most meta unit, but he is by far, in my humble and biased opinion, the most fun and engaging character to play, and I really love him. Let me know how you're enjoying Aalto. I would really love to see some Aalto love in the comment section down below. And if you find this video helpful at all, please hit the like and subscribe button. I worked really hard on this video and it will support my channel a lot. We'll be making more Wuthering Wave and Aalto content in the future, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching this video, and until the next time, peace!